Hello and welcome to Byju's Exam Prep IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Before we start with the practice questions for the day, we have two important announcements. The first is in reference to international relations this week. The video would be uploaded tomorrow at 8 p.m. So do watch to understand some of the important international relations topic discussion by Chetan sir. The second announcement is in reference to Telegram channel. If you have not yet joined our channel, please do join so that you get all the current affairs related updates. Let's get started and look into the first question. City A has an air quality index of 50. City B has an air quality index of 350. Which city can be considered to have good air quality with little risk for the human health? The answer to this is City A. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Indian Express makes a reference to the air quality index. Let us try and understand what is this air quality index all about. Let's say you are in one of the cities. It can be Delhi, it can be Mumbai, it can be Bengaluru, so on and so forth. How would you understand that the pollution levels have increased? What you require is one of the parameters to check whether the pollution in that city limit is good or bad. To understand this, what we have is the air quality index. This happens to be a number which will just communicate or give an idea to the people in that particular city as to what is the pollution in that city. If there is air quality index which is in the range of 0 to 50, it means that they are well within the good category. If it is anywhere between 51 to 100, it is satisfactory. If it is between 101 to 200, it is moderately okay. If it is between 201 to 300, it means there is poor air quality, lot of pollution in the city. And if it is poor, it basically means that it will have a lot of impact on the people inhaling the air in that city. And ultimately, if it is severe, it means that people are going to face severe health impact. So this means we have about 6 AQI categories, namely good, satisfactory, moderately, polluted, poor, very poor and severe. And severe basically means they will have a severe impact and they will also experience respiratory problems. This categorization is done on the basis of 8 pollutants. Which are these pollutants? Particulate matter 10, particulate matter 2.5, NO2, SO2, CO, O3, NH3 as well as PB. So on the basis of amount of emissions of these pollutants, what they define is a number, and that number happens to be the AQI. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements with regard to solar eclipse. An annual eclipse happens when the moon is farthest from the earth. The main hazards to the eye from very intense sunlight during solar eclipse are from infrared radiation, UV radiation, and from excessive visible light, especially blue light. A momentary glance through the naked eye is considered safe and poses no risk to the eyes. Which of the statements given above are correct? The answer to this is 1 and 2 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Indian Express makes a reference to partial solar eclipse. Let us try and understand what is this solar eclipse all about. As you can see from the image, we have the sun. We also have the earth as well. If the moon comes between the earth as well as the sun, that is what is called as the solar eclipse. So solar eclipse occurs when the moon comes in between the sun and the earth. As a result, the moon blocks the light of the sun from reaching the earth's surface and casts a shadow on it. Since the moon comes between the earth as well as the sun, it is acting as a barrier and it will only allow small amount of sunlight to reach the earth. The moon's shadow has two parts, a central region called as umbra, the outer region called as penumbra. Depending on the distance of the moon from the earth during the event, different types of solar concealment can be observed. What are these? One is what is called as partial, second is what is called as annular, and third is what is called as total. When it comes to partial, when the moon does not align completely with the sun and only a portion of the sunlight is blocked from reaching the earth, that is called as partial. So what does it mean? It means we have the sun, only a partial part of the moon is covering the sun. That is where most of the energy from the sun will reach the earth, but only part of it is blocked. So when part of the sun's rays are blocked, that is called as partial. What is annular? When the moon covers the sun, but the sun can be seen around the edges of the moon, giving an impression of the sun is a bright ring surrounding the dark disk of the moon. Then finally, what we have is total, where the sun is completely covered by the moon. The sky becomes so dark that it appears to be night. Only a small area on the earth can be witnessed. So this is the partial eclipse. Then what we have is the annular eclipse, and this is what is called as the total eclipse. If you look into the third statement, a momentary glaze through the naked eye is considered safe and poses no risk to the eyes. This statement is wrong. That is because viewing the sun through the naked eyes during an eclipse can burn the retina, and this phenomenon will lead to what is called as the eclipse blindness. This eclipse blindness can cause temporary or permanent vision impairment, and as a result, person who watches it may have what is called as temporary or permanent vision impairment. In order to overcome this issue, what we can make use of is safe solar viewing glasses. Since the third statement given here is wrong, the answer to this would be B, which is 1 and 2 only. Now let's look into the next practice question. Tropical cyclones in the Bay of Bengal directly affects which countries? India, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. The answer to this is 1, 2, 3 and 4. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the Hindu makes a reference to 9 killed as Cyclone Sitrang lashes Bangladesh, floods low-lying areas. So if we look into this map, what we have is it will have an impact on Bangladesh, it will have an impact on India, it will have an impact on Myanmar, and it will also have impact on Sri Lanka as well. All these countries which are close by to West Bengal are impacted by this particular cyclone. As part of the assignment, you have to put on the comment section, we are speaking about Cyclone Sitrang. This Cyclone Sitrang was given as a name by one of the countries. So which country gave this name Sitrang is what you have to put on the comment section. If you look into the cyclones, what we have is the Indian Meteorological Department. This happens to be one of the world's regional specialized meteorological center. It is mandated to provide cyclone advisories, alerts to many countries in and around the Indian Ocean. So which are the countries which receive these advisories from the IMD? This includes Bangladesh, India, Iran, Maldives, Myanmar, Oman, Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Sri Lanka, Thailand, United Arab Emirates, as well as Yemen. As many as 13 countries receive the advisory from the India Meteorological Department. This can also be important from the preliminary examination point of view. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following is not a mandated role of the Chief of the Defence Staff? Acts as the permanent chairman of the Chiefs of the Staff Committee, heads the Department of Military Affairs within the Ministry of Defence, acts as a single point military advisor to the Defence Minister, decides upon India's nuclear options during war. Which of the statements are not correct when it comes to the functionalities of the Chief of the Defence Staff? The answer to this is D. He does not decide upon India's nuclear options during the war. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article on the PIB makes a reference to Chief of the Defence Staff. What are the functions of the Chief of the Defence Staff? The Chief of the Defence Staff is described as the first among equals among the service chiefs. The task of the Chief of the Defence Staff is to better standardize weapons, procurement procedures, combine the operations of Army, Air Force and Navy. The Chief of Defence Staff has the authority to create theatre commands as and when needed. Command Tri-Service agencies, organizations, commands including those related to cyberspace. Chief of Defence Staff will be a member of Defence Acquisition Council, chaired by the Minister of Defence, and Defence Planning Committee, chaired by the National Security Advisor, bring about jointness and ensure optimal utilization of infrastructure. When it comes to all the three services, he will also implement a 5-year Defence Capital Acquisition Plan, 2-year roll-on annual acquisition plans as a follow-up of integrated capability developmental plan, assign inter-services prioritization to capital acquisition proposals, and The chief of a defense staff salary and perks will be same as the service chiefs. Its details will come under the right to information as well. This can also be important from the preliminary examination point of view. Now let's look into the next practice question. If you withdraw 1 lakh in cash from your demand deposit account at your bank, the immediate effect on aggregate money supply in the economy will be to reduce it by 1 lakh, to increase it by 1 lakh, to increase it by more than 1 lakh, to leave it unchanged. The answer to this is to leave it unchanged. This happens to be a previous year question from the year 2020. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion is brain fog. Let us try and understand what is this topic all about. Let's imagine for a moment you are driving your car. If there is fog right in front of you, what would happen? It will reduce the visibility. You would not be able to see what's happening 50 meters, 100 meters, 200 meters in front of you. Similarly, if a person is always in confusion, is characterized by forgetfulness, there is lack of focus and mental clarity. That is what is called as brain fog. So basically, if a person is always in the perplex mode, he is not able to come to a conclusion, he always goes through some confusion and dilemma, he is not able to make a firm conviction. All this is what is called as the brain fog. So brain fog is often caused by stress, lack of sleep, hormonal changes, nutritional deficiencies, medications, sometimes due to underlying diseases like anemia as well as diabetes. It isn't a medical condition itself, but rather a symptom of other medical conditions. It's a type of cognitive dysfunction involving memory problems like lack of mental clarity, poor concentration, so on and so forth. So basically, if we are considering at the cellular level, brain fog is believed to be caused because of high levels of inflammation, changes in the hormonal balance, and changes in the mood, energy, focus, so on and so forth. What are the various causes of the brain fog? This is typically because of the lifestyle changes. Let's say, for example, you're constantly seeing your computer, you're constantly watching reels on your mobile phones, you're using your Instagram, constantly watching it. This ultimately means your concentration power, the memory power, will drop over a period of time. That is because of the electromagnetic radiation. Then there is stress factor as well. This will reduce the blood flow to the brain, causing poor memory. Then what we have is lack of sleep as well. If you're not sleeping for about 7 to 8 hours at consistent level, this will also create what is called as the brain fog. Ultimately, diet also comes into picture. The amino acids, vitamins, minerals and antioxidants is what is required for the body. If you're not giving nutritious food to your body, it can also result in brain fog. Toxins, pollution, chemical substances, insecticides, when they are consumed by the humans, this will all create what is called as the brain fog. So brain fog has now become a familiar symptom that is also associated with COVID as well as long COVID. Brain fog is not a medical diagnosis, but rather the description patients tend to use for their symptoms. Brain fog is what doctors refer to as cognitive dysfunction. This describes problems with closely linked tasks such as concentration, information processing, memory thinking, reasoning, making sense of the language. Scientists aren't sure whether the same biological process underpin brain fog in different illness. However, brain fog is common among people recovering from traumatic brain injury, experiencing persistent confusion symptoms with meningitic encephalitis. Then there is fibromyalgia, HIV, postural tachycardia syndrome, lupus, post-treatment Lyme disease symptoms, as well as side effect of chemotherapy as well. People with celiac disease may even experience brain fog after consuming gluten. It's also been reported as a symptom of menopause as well. So what are the symptoms? Generally headaches, low energy or fatigue, impaired cognitive function, irritability, forgetfulness, excessive absences, mildly depression, trouble sleeping, insomnia is all to do with your brain fog. What causes it? While COVID may cause shrinkage of some brain areas, brain fog itself has not been linked to the brain volume changes on magnetic resonance imaging scans. However, a new case report of 2 people found that while they had normal clinical MRI findings, they also had decreases in oxygen in a specific part of the brain called the cingulate cortex. This area within the limbic system is thought to be involved in attention and memory. There isn't one single test for the brain fog, so it can be difficult to diagnose. How do we overcome it? We have to bring about massive changes in the lifestyle. Spend less time on the computer and mobile phones. Always think positively about life. Reduce the stress over a period of time. Change the diet plans as well. Get enough amount of sleep. For all those of you who think that sleeping 5 hours is important because you would be saving on the time, you can use it for something productive. This may not be, because it will have its own devastations on a larger front. So enough sleep is what is required, 7 to 8 hours a day, regular exercises, and always finding some enjoyable activities is what will keep your life going, and this will also remove the brain fog is what we have to understand. It is this that we have to understand from this article. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.